Hey guys, welcome to Ghost Pie Mushrooms. This is our first video, so welcome. I'm really excited to bring you guys a lot of the things I've learned over the last 15-20 years of working with mushrooms. We're going to do a little bit of everything. We're going to do some foraging outdoors, we're going to do some indoor grows, some outdoor grows, a little bit of everything. So stick with the channel and we'll have a good time. I'm here in my 30 by 40 basement slash man cave slash mushroom lab here. And this is probably nothing fancy, unfinished, probably a basement like a lot of you guys might have in your house. And I promise you, if you follow the channel, you will be amazed at how much cool mushroom stuff you can do in just a small area like this. So the video I'm going to have today, I'm going to start out with a heavy hitter here. This process I'm going to teach you is a process where you can take store-bought spawn and expand it way out for your grow projects using minimal equipment and minimal investment. Now, a lot of the equipment I'm going to use is probably stuff you might have laying around your house already. If you do have to buy a few things, it's not going to cost you too much, and this method is going to save you a lot of money. It's also low energy. It's a pasteurization method. There's no sterilization or anything, and it's definitely something easy that anybody can really do in their home. So the thing is with store-bought spawn is it's expensive. You're going to be paying around 30 bucks a bag, and with this method you're going to be able to expand one bag of store-bought spawn out into 3, 4, even 5 bags of your own awesome spawn that are only going to cost you maybe a couple bucks a bag. For substrate, we're just going to be using hardwood fuel pellets, just like the bags of fuel pellets you get for a pellet stove. And they're only about $5 for like a 40-pound bag, so pretty inexpensive. And that's what we're going to use as our substrate to expand our store-bought spawn out. And now I'm going to be working with Almond Agaricus mushroom today. And Almond Agaricus is kind of a slow-growing mycelium, and it's not super aggressive, so I'm only going to expand one bag out into 3. But if you were working with a really aggressive species like oyster or something like that, you would be able to expand it easily out into about 5 bags. And the other thing is you can use this method for making spawn, but you can also use it for making fruiting blocks to actually grow mushrooms. So if you look over here, I got some turkey tail mushrooms going in a mono tub here. And I made these using the exact same method I'm going to show you guys today. And these are producing some beautiful turkey tail mushrooms here in an automated mono tub. I got the humidifier going in there, so it's kind of foggy in there, but you can see the mushrooms. So I promise you guys, if you learn this method, you're gonna love it. You're gonna make some awesome spawn that's just as good, if not better, than the stuff you can buy in the store, and you're gonna save yourself a lot of money. So I'm gonna get set up here, and we'll get started. I'm going to show you guys my setup. So the first thing you need is your spawn. Like I said, I have 2 5-pound bags. And you are going to need some filter patch bags. These are 0.2 micron filter patch bags for mushroom growing. And you can get these all over the internet. I order them in bulk from a place called Unicorn Bags. And you just want to make sure you're getting the 0.2 micron. They have a little filter patch here that allows some air exchange in and out of the bag, which is important for the mushroom growth. And we're going to actually end up sealing the tops at the end here. And so all the air exchange will go in and out of this filter. I just took a Sharpie, and I always label what species I'm working with. I just put AA on this for Almond Agaricus. This is an impulse sealer. All this does is basically seal your bags. And I got this on probably Amazon or eBay or something. This is a PFS 300 sealer, and I've used this for probably 15 years and never had to do anything to it. So these probably do run 70-80 bucks. Got a small digital scale here. This is an OXO scale. I think I got at Target. I have a couple of these. These are only about 20 bucks, and they work great. And we have a now you could do this right in your kitchen on a stovetop as well, but I have a I believe this is a 1300 watt electric side burner going. And this is what we're going to heat our water up with, because we're going to need a good amount of water. So we got a big pot here too for our water with a lid. And regular tap water is fine. Don't have to use distilled water for this. And we got some containers here. This is just a regular like a juice container that's labeled in quarts, pints, and liters. And I got an extra little measuring cup here, and we have some gypsum. This is just granulated gypsum. You can get this at any garden store. It's just a common gardening soil additive. This is a little homemade funnel that I made out of just a milk or a water jug. You can see I just cut the top open like that, cut the bottom off, and this is going to sit inside of our filter patch bags as I pour the water in and kind of use that as a funnel. And our main ingredient here is our fuel pellets. So these are wood fuel pellets that are used for pellet stoves for heating. And it is important to try and get, if you can, get hardwood pellets. Hardwood seems to work the best. You can get a blend of hardwood and softwood. That'll work too. I would try and stay away from the pure softwood pellets if you can. I'm going to get set up here and show you guys how this process goes. We'll get it running. And again, this will work with any wood-loving mushrooms. And we're not doing any sterilization here. This is just going to be a pasteurization method. And one thing I found is that some certain mushroom species, including Almond Agaricus is one of them. There's some others like wine caps and bluets. The mycelium actually seems to prefer a pasteurized substrate as opposed to sterilized. Sterilization is a whole nother really energy intensive process that I try and stay away from. But like I said, a lot of these mushroom species seem to really grow a lot better on this pasteurized fuel pellet substrate. So we'll get some water going here. We're gonna fill this pot with water, and we're gonna basically bring it to a boil. And once we get that rolling, we're going to get that going on the burner and get the water heating up. And while we're doing that, we're going to add the our hardwood fuel pellets and our gypsum to our bags and get them set up ready to go. All right, guys. So I'm going to turn our scale on here. We just got our juice container sitting on the scale, and we got our filter patch bag sitting right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 1.5 pounds of dry fuel pellets. Now a lot of times I'll start with 2 pounds if I'm doing like a grain spawn transfer, but I'm going to be putting a good amount of this, the store-bought, the North Spore sawdust spawn into each bag. So instead of doing 2 pounds, I'm going to start with 1.5 pounds fuel pellets. So just going to add them here to my container. There we go, 1 pound 8 ounces right there. So then we're just going to put a pinch of our granulated gypsum in, and I just use the tip of a spoon, about like that. And what the gypsum does is it gives some minerals to the mushrooms, and it also adds looseness. It makes your sawdust not as sticky, so when you shake it up, it'll help with that too. So we got our gypsum and our 1.5 pounds of fuel pellets in here. Just gonna get a filter patch bag. Pour the whole thing right in there. So that's it. That's what it looks like. And we're gonna do 5 more of these, and then we'll jump back into actually adding the hot water and starting the pasteurization. Alright, so our water's ripping here. We're basically at a rolling boil, and it doesn't have to be at a rolling boil. Basically you just have to have it around 200 degrees. So I'm going to actually turn it down a little bit. But obviously we are working with really hot water here, guys. I'm used to doing this. I've done it hundreds of times, and so I don't use any gloves. If you guys, especially until you get comfortable with it, you can use some oven mitts or wear some gloves. But basically, what I'm going to be doing here is scooping some of this boiling water out. And we have, so for 1.5 pounds of fuel pellets that we have in each bag, we're going to do about a quart of water. And you can probably can't see it, but there's a quart marker right here. So I'm just going to fill it to that level. with our boiling water, and then we're gonna pour it into the filter patch bag, and then I'm gonna have to work quick. I'm gonna move the filter patch bag over to the impulse sealer. I'm gonna seal it, and then I have a separate storage tub over on another table that I'll show you in a minute here. And once they're sealed, they're gonna go into that storage tub. And I'm just gonna repeat that process until I get all 6 done, and then we'll go from there. So I'll go ahead and do one here so you guys can see what it looks like. This is where your little funnel you made out of the milk jug comes in handy, because basically I'm going to use this to hold the filter patch bag open as I pour the hot water into it. Okay, so we're going to measure out a quart. Alright, that's about a quart right there. Pull the bag over, insert our trusty funnel in there, hold it like that, pour your water. Now the fuel pellets are going to immediately start expanding as soon as the water hits them, and so you kind of got to work quick. Move it over to the impulse sealer, and I got the impulse sealer set to 5. That's what seems to work pretty well for this sealer on bags this size. And go ahead and seal the bag, and then we'll move it over. Alright, so this is the storage tote that I was moving all our bags to, and I got them all nestled in there nice and cozy. And I'm going to keep the lid on it, and I'm going to cover this with a blanket, and I'm going to leave it for about an hour and a half. And that sawdust, especially because I have all the bags packed in there tight, that sawdust is really going to hold the heat, and it's going to hold it at that pasteurization temperature, and that's going to give us a clean substrate to go ahead and expand our spawn out onto. Now, one of the keys with working with these fuel pellets is that, or any sawdust for that matter, is that moisture balance is really critical. So I have a bunch of marks on my juice container that I'm using here, and I've done this for a while, so I know basically what I need. And fuel pellets can be a little different in beginning moisture content too, but not that much different in my experience. So with the 1.5 pounds of the fuel pellets, we were going with a quart. So basically, if you're going to go with 2 pounds of fuel pellets, basically you want to have the same amount of water as a general rule as your fuel pellets displace. So when I weigh out 2 pounds of fuel pellets in this container, they come right about to this black mark, and so I use about that same level of water. And that's a general rule of where to start for fuel pellets. You basically, weigh out your fuel pellets into a container, see how far they displace up the container, and use that for your water level. And either go right at the fuel pellets or maybe a little lower on the water, because with sawdust, being a little too dry is always better than being a little too wet. If you're too wet, it's just going to lead to contamination. But these should be balanced perfect, so we'll cover them with a blanket and come back in an hour and a half. Alright guys, our hour and a half is up. I can feel the tub is still nice and warm, so I'm sure we got a good pasteurization here. Pull the lid off here. So you can feel still really hot down in here. See the fuel pellets have kind of rehydrated and broken up. We just have nice moist sawdust in here now. And really important step here, you cannot put live mycelium into a hot substrate. You will kill it. These are still way too hot. So it's about 60 degrees down here right now. So I'm just gonna sit these out on the table, and I'll just space them apart so they can let their heat off easier. So we'll just sit them out on the table like that, and give them an hour or so to cool down. You want them just to be, about room temperature to the touch. You'll be able to feel it. And at that point, we'll go ahead and spawn them up.
So I'm going to be doing my spawn transfer in front of my laminar flow hood. This is a flow hood that I built myself and I have it, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. But I want to stress to you guys that for this procedure, it does not require that you have a laminar flow hood. I've done this plenty of times just in a clean room in the open air, and it's worked fine with no contamination. I think as long as the room you're in isn't like totally swimming in mold spores, you'll be fine. But if you guys do decide that you want to build a laminar flow hood, if you're really going to get into this hobby, there's lots of instructions and videos out there on how to do it. And I think you can put one together for about $400, and you'll definitely find it useful. But the first thing I'm doing here is breaking up the spawn. You definitely have to break up your spawn to be able to pour it. And I've sprayed everything down, including the bags, with some isopropyl just to clean everything up. And whether or not you're working in the open air or in front of the flow hood, you want to mist everything with the isopropyl before you get rolling to make sure everything's as clean as you can get it.
Make sure you put good even pressure across your bar on your impulse sealer and hold it for about 10 seconds when you're doing that final seal to let the plastic cool. And you should be good. Alright, so we got our bags all sealed up, but you can't put away the impulse sealer yet because we got to check for leaks. And I got the flow hood turned off because the best way to check for leaks is to listen, because sometimes you won't get a perfect seal, or you'll get a little pinhole in your bag. So what you want to do is you need everything quiet, and you just kind of squeeze, create pressure in the bag. And if there's any leak, you'll hear the air escaping. And this one's got a good seal, no issues. So, and the cool thing about this pasteurization process is it lets you get away with stuff that you could never do with sterile culture. Like if these were sterilized bags, me even putting like clean gloved hands on the inside of the bag is a big no-no. But you can do that with this process to pull the gussets apart, open it up to get the spawn in. So now I'm going to show you how I shake one of these, and then we'll move them over to the incubation shelves. So first of all, I'm just squeezing through the bag, breaking up all these spawn chunks. The spawn looks amazing. I've never seen Almond Agaricus spawn like this densely colonized. So I'm really excited about this spawn. I think it's going to jump off really fast. So got all the spawn broken up. Now you see we got all our sawdust on the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start squeezing from the bottom, and I'm going to kind of squeeze that stuff up. Squeeze it from the bottom to the top. And you can see how that's starting to mix everything up already there. And then I just kind of do like a shake and roll kind of thing. So shake, flip it, shake. Just keep going like that. By the time you're done, you want the whole thing to look kind of homogenized. Because the point of this is to not only break everything up, but evenly distribute all that spawn thoroughly through your substrate. Now that we're done shaking, I'm going to kind of massage these gussets a little bit to get everything to fall. We want everything down in here. We don't want anything stuck up in the gussets. And I want everything just kind of leveled out. And then I'm just going to tap it just a couple times, kind of make it into a little brick. And you don't want to slam it too hard. You're not trying to really densely pack this. You just want everything down and where it should be. Alright, so we got all 6 bags shook up here, and we didn't have any leaks. If you do, it's not a big deal. If it's leaking up here where you sealed it, just cut that off clean again and do a new seal, or just do a second seal below, whichever one you want to do. And if you get, sometimes you'll get little pinholes like in the corners. All you have to do is put like a piece of packing tape over it and just kind of seal it up. So these are all shook up. I'm going to move these over to the incubation shelves, and I've got a lot more to come. I'm going to do continual updates on this grow. These Almond Agaricus mushrooms are they're amazing mushrooms. They have awesome medicinal qualities. They're basically the same as the Agaricus blazei mushrooms, same species, and they have a long history of medicinal use. And really good for you, and they also happen to be delicious, and they're pretty easy to grow outdoors right in with your garden vegetables. So that's my point of this grow, and I'm going to do continual updates, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. But right now we're going to move them over to the incubation shelves and just let them chill. Alright, real quick, I'll just show you where I'm incubating these. Just got them on some wire shelves. Wire shelving is good because when the mycelium really starts to run through these, it's going to build up a lot of heat, and you don't want them overheating. So wire shelving is always good, and you can see I got them spaced apart so they're not touching. You can have them relatively close because the air will, as long as the air can circulate, you don't want them touching. And you just want them in a relatively dark area. Doesn't have to be totally dark. I just got them in the corner of the basement here. And I got a box over the window to block some of the light out. But you definitely just don't want direct incandescent light or direct sunlight, because that'll actually inhibit the mycelium growth. So these are all shelved up and ready to rock. We'll be back.